Hey, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be talking about that new Charli XCX album that dropped earlier this year entitled Crash. I am going to be talking about the deluxe version of the album, which is a bit longer than the original release. But I wanted to talk about some of the songs that were on the deluxe that I really enjoyed. So I figured, why not? If you somehow haven't heard of Charli XCX, or if you haven't listened to her music before, she's a British pop artist that's been active since about the early 2010s. Um, I can remember first hearing her in songs like Fancy with Iggy Azalea and the song I Love It with Iconic Pop. Those were the songs that really put her on my radar at the time. And back then, I honestly thought that she would be a one hit wonder. I thought that she was going to fade into obscurity. But I was terribly wrong. And I'm glad that I was wrong because in the years since then, Charli has managed to become one of the biggest voices in contemporary pop music. She's prolific, she's talented, and she's really solidified herself as a big hitter in this modern pop era. The album Crash the deluxe version features a total of 16 songs. So I will just give you my highlights for each song, starting with track number one entitled Crash. The intro track has a lot going on for it. We open up with a verse where Charli's explaining that emotionally she's kind of off the rails. And the intro to the song itself reflects a lot of that auditorily. It kind of comes together as we hear a lot of loud and busy snare rolls that lead into an instrumental that feels like it's very nostalgic for the 90s. Most of the album kind of fits in that same space as well, stylistically speaking. You've got trademark brass hits, those samples that you used to hear a lot in the 90s, and drums that are reminiscent of New Jack Swing as well. I love the rich guitar solo that we hear towards the end of the song. Melodically speaking, it's nothing crazy, but the guitar tone that they used for that solo is really soothing, and I really do love that. Track number two, New Shapes, featuring Christine and Caroline Polachek. This song honestly feels like the Avengers. Everybody's vocals come together and they form an exceptional pop tune together. The instrumental has synthy elements and there's very different, distinct sections as well. It feels like a tune from the mid 90s. And the song is a stern statement and reminder to maybe a former lover that you don't have what they were looking for. Sometimes, for better or for worse, we end up gravitating towards people that we know that we have no business being with. We have no business messing with that person, but somehow it happens anyway because we're enjoying the ride. We're just kind of along, going with the motions. And it's easy to fall in love with someone, to fall in love with that ride itself. But at some point, we sober up and we realize that it was all maybe a futile waste of time. But it's a timeless human experience that is encapsulated in a very solid, timeless tune that honestly I'm sure to have on repeat for years. It honestly has grown on me. I've listened to this album a number of times, and this is that big song that really does it for me. Track number three, Good Ones. There's a tasty intro on here featuring a groovy Moog type of bass line. It's very synthy. The instrumental is a smooth synth pop cut featuring warm and punchy production. Charli sings of recognizing that she has a preference for people that might be bad for her. She doesn't seem to be ashamed of that, but she does warn whoever the prospective lover she's singing to. She warns them that things probably are not going to work out with her, just because she has this tendency to run once she does let somebody in. I know a lot of people can relate. Track number four, Constant Repeat. The instrumental here is very smooth. We've got syncopated kicks and synths that are full of movement. They give you, the listener, a steady groove that definitely will keep you engaged. I love the heavily filtered synth chords. It adds a cool contrast to Charli's vocals. On this song, she's singing of being in love with someone, but at some point that person chose to leave the relationship. And it's clear that there's still some pain lingering in her heart, and she misses this person. Um, the pain manifests itself in disbelief that someone could ever want to leave, that someone would not want to be with her any longer. And she's even explaining how this person is missing out on who she's become. They're missing out on the growth that she has experienced since then. Track number 5, Beg For You, featuring Rina Sawayama. This song is awesome. This was the one single that I heard before the album dropped, and this is what got me pumped for this new music. There was a tasteful sampling of the song "Cry For You" by September, which that song also sampled another song entitled "Tell Me Why" by Supermode. It came out like a year before "Cry For You" came out, and it was super cool to hear how they sampled this. The drums are super punchy, and the instrumental that we hear here, it's not a direct sampling. It's more of a recreating of the original instrumental, and it's close, but it does sound distinct, which I like. It's different enough that it stands out on its own, and we have that melodic callback to the original song, but it's not an exact copy of the original instrumental. Charli and Rina's vocals are very solid, and I enjoyed the danceable tune that they cooked up together. The melodies are memorable. The instrumental, as I mentioned, is a lot of fun. And together they're singing of having a lover, spending the night with you, and you wish that this moment could last forever. That peace, the intimacy, the warmth that you get during a moment like that is something that we all yearn for sometimes, I'm not going to lie. And Rina and Charli made it sound cute and fun. It's a very lovely tune. Track number 6, Move Me. The layered drums here are very rich. We've got a lot of stutters in the drum sets and the drum patterns, and there's plenty of movement. Gated synths accompanying the drums that give the song a lot more movement. There's a lot of energy. Charli's vocals are extra nasally on this tune, which I'm not a huge fan of, but her vocals don't sound bad either. And there's a lot of cool processing done during the transitions from one section to another, such as from the verses to the choruses and vice versa. The mix grows and it shrinks before widening again. It's really cool. There's a lot of movement in different sorts of ways. Lyrically, Charli speaks on loving someone, but pushing them away despite not wanting to. The tonality reflects this sadness, as Charli admits that this is something that she can't change, but she wishes that she could accept love and be receptive to it as well. Track number 7, Baby. The instrumental here is very glittery, it's very danceable, featuring a lot of funky rhythm guitars, popping synths, and really cool drum patterns that admittedly do feel more subdued, but they're still full of life. They're still full of energy. There's a bunch of ad-libs, like whispers. You even hear a giggle from Charli at some point. And there's a lot of other cool vocal effects thrown into here. The song itself is repetitive, but it's also brief. It doesn't linger for longer than it needs to. And it's a short and sexy tune. Charli sings of having her eyes set on somebody, and she's explaining to this person what's in store for them if they want to tag along for the ride. It's a flirty song, it's playful, and it's a lot of fun. Track number 8, Lightning. The synth at the beginning, the one that we hear during the intro, is really wonderful. It's rich with reverb, and the tone is tonal. It's metallic. It's really exciting to hear. And I love how cold that this intro sounds with this synth. Charli's vocals are juxtaposed, and her vocals are a lot warmer, so it provides a lot of cool contrast. We get to hear Charli's vocals thrown into a vocoder at several points in this song. It is really awesome. The chorus is catchy and punchy. The instrumental itself sounds like an 80s instrumental with a facelift on it. There's a ton of sonic callbacks to pop music of the era, but also has some modern touches as well, such as vocal stutters and the vocoder that I mentioned before. There's a lot of cool things going on in the instrumental, featuring fun synthy melodies. An acoustic Spanish guitar sneaks in there at some point, and has a bit of a solo even. And there's a lot of distinct samples that were used in the drums that are unique and fun. The intro itself, of course, is a stark contrast to the rest of the song, since the rest of the song does sound more modernized. Track number 9, Every Rule. This song features a slower paced instrumental, soft synths, and muted drums. Charli sings of an affair, loving on someone that was also in a relationship while she was in a relationship as well. But despite all the guilt that she may have felt, she's glad that it all happened. There's a line where she says, "But I gotta say, I want it this way. These moments really set me free." The song's tonality does reflect that emotion, and it feels very bittersweet. Track number 10, entitled Yuck. This is an extremely catchy tune featuring a very warm mix. There's a lovely blend of synths and a groovy bass line. The drums are very solid and they taste just like the 80s as well. And in this song, Charli explains that she enjoys having someone that she can call hers, and that she has someone that she can look forward to seeing and spending time with. But she does lose interest the moment that things get too lovey-dovey. I was doing some reading and found that Charli is proud of her vocal performance on this song in particular. She's a confident vocalist, but she also recognizes that she's not the most technical performer. In this interview that I'm referring to, she also mentions how, like, if you were to put her next to Ariana Grande, for example, and have them sing the same song, her vocals would sound crazy compared to Ariana's. But with all that being said, I think that her confidence in herself and her ability to perform shows a lot on this song. It shines a lot on the performance in particular on this song. It's really beautiful, and this song is definitely going to be on repeat for a while for me. I'm not going to lie. Track number 11, entitled "Used to Know Me." Another tasteful sampling of a classic tune. Here, sampling "Show Me Love" by Robin S., classic house tune. This instrumental feels similar, but it's also done from scratch. So you can tell that it's not a direct sampling of the original song, more so a melodic callback to the original with a recreated instrumental. I love how crispy the drums are here, and the synths complement Charli's vocals very well. The producers knew what they were doing when they picked the synth patches for her songs. Charli here sings of singing from a point of reflection, recognizing that a former lover had her in a bad place. They weren't in a good place at the time when they were together, and she was in a place where she wasn't able to grow. But since then, she has come into her own. Now she's so far removed from that place that she's a better person, and she knows better. She's grown a lot since that relationship. Track number 12, entitled "Twice." The instrumental on this song is super bubbly. It's very sparkly. Charli sings of struggling to cope with accepting the fact that nothing lasts forever. She forces herself to remember to enjoy things, cherish every moment, since inevitably one day things that she loves will cease to exist. The upbeat layered synth, the upbeat layered drum patterns and sparkly synths do drive that idea home, and you can't help but feel happy while listening to this song. It's very joyous. Track number 13, entitled "Selfish Girl," has a lot of 90s anthemic energy to it. Charli sings of owning the title of being a selfish girl. She knows the pain that love can lead to, and she opts out of it. Rather than putting up with somebody else, she prefers to stick to herself, protect her peace, and just chill. The instrumental feels triumphant. It's fun. Features a lot of different unique percussive elements, kind of in a UK garage kind of sound. We've got a fun section also where Charli asks the listeners to put their hands up in the air if they're also selfish. It's a lot of fun energy that resonates with me, and I'm sure that a lot of others will enjoy the tune as well. Track number 14, "How Can I Not Know What I Need Right Now?" I love the smooth and subdued, warm energy in this song. I loved it as soon as I heard it for the first time. The drums feel like they're lingering just under the surface of the water. Charli's vocals are the only thing that's hovering above surface. It's a bubbly song. It's wet. It's refreshing. Charli sings of feeling overwhelmed and desperately trying to hide her anxieties from others, but it's clear that she's not successful at doing that. She admits that she needs time and she needs to give herself the time to work on herself. And the song itself is a statement of acknowledgement of that. And it feels like a reminder to take the time to grow, taking it day by day, as the chorus highlights. And moving on to the next one, track number 15, entitled Sorry If I Hurt You. The patch of strings that hover in the background of this track are beautiful and they're simple. The instrumental feels like a hopeful synth pop tune that you might hear on a VHS tape for like workouts or something, if you know what I'm talking about. From the compressed snares to the drums that make you want to run forever, and the glittery synths and the driving synthy Moog like bass line. I love the processing on Charli's vocals. They feel metallic and they also feel sleek. The scene that plays out in my head as I listen to this song is just imagine like you're leaving a voicemail or sending a string of texts to an ex that you miss, and it's a series of messages where you admit to your wrongs and desperately need to sincerely apologize to this person. Overall, it's a beautiful and melancholic tune. And finally, the album closer, track number 16, What You Think About Me. This song feels very different. There's sad guitars, the drums are programmed in this song in a way that kind of throws me back to the early 2000s. The tonality feels bittersweet, the instrumental does keep things simple, and lyrically, it's equally simple. Charli is making it clear she does not care what others might think about her. I don't know who she's talking to, but there's several lines in the song like, I love you so much, I'm so under pressure, you're choking my neck, you might not let me go, and other lines like, try to breathe it out because I don't want it to hurt, it makes it harder when my name's on your shirt. All kind of gives me the impression that she's singing to multiple people in her life, um, maybe even just everybody in her life. It's a very thought provoking conclusion to a solid album. All in all, I would say that Charli worked very hard on this project. It shows. She worked alongside longtime collaborators like A.G. Cook. One O Tricks Point Never is another producer that worked on this album. He worked with The Weeknd on Dawn FM. And there's a lot of other producers that appear on this project as well. And it's all solid work. It shows me that Charli definitely sits at the forefront of the organic evolution of contemporary pop music. She brings so many cool concepts to the table, and her collaborators really help bring these ideas to fruition in the most sleek and refreshing way. Everything sounds futuristic in a way to me, while also having callbacks to previous pop music eras in the recent past. Admittedly, I didn't listen to the album that she put out before this one. It came out at the beginning of the pandemic. It was entitled How I'm Feeling Now. But I did listen to the album that came out before that one, entitled Charli, that came out in 2019. And when I compare what I heard on that album to what I hear on this one, it's very clear that there's been a gradual fine tuning, a gradual refining of her sound. What we hear on Crash is very mature. It's a mature project, and I'm eager to hear what she puts out in the future. She's honestly one of the most exciting artists to kind of watch grow, and so I really want to see what she's able to make next whenever she chooses to start that next project. So that's really all my thoughts on this album, but if you have some music that you would like to share to me, please do send it my way. I'm really looking for a lot of new stuff nowadays. And if you took the time to sit here and listen to me talk about Charli XCX and Crash, I really do appreciate that. I appreciate you taking the time to do that. And I hope that you have a great and wonderful day. Thank you.